Well, hello guys. Today we're presenting our results from the survey that we have made to a sample of 28 students from UNAQ University. Each member of the team surveyed 7 students to make a total of 28 students. So the team members are Carlos Salas, Diego Cabello, Gaby Susey, and Emmanuel Cortez that is actually speaking right now.
Have you heard about UNAQ syndrome? Well, some people don't know what UNAQ syndrome is. First of all, let's define the following concept we work on with. We call UNAQ syndrome the phenomenon which happens due to the difference ratio between boys and girls. At the university, we know there are more men than women. As for each girl in the school, there are approximately 10 boys. As a consequence of this, individuals forming the majority tend to become more tolerant or open-minded to the different sexual preference. For example, male students feel attracted for female teachers older than them, or even feel attracted to other boys. We did this survey to know what UNAQ students think about it, and if men and women have been affected by UNAQ syndrome in the same form. Let's go to see the results.
Now, this graph represents that only 75% of the subjects who were interviewed were male subjects, and on the other hand, only 25% of the subjects who were interviewed were women subjects.
Which is the percentage of interviewees? Well, due to the quadrimester that we are right now, almost all of our interviews are from the same quadrimester. That represents 80% of our respondents. Another 8% are students from 4th quadrimester, other 8% are students from TSU, and the other 4% are students from 5th quadrimester.
Okay, now, from the subjects who we interviewed, we realized that only 36% of the subjects had 18 years old. 25% are in their 19s, 11% are on their 20s, 70% have 22 years old, and 11% have 21 years old.
Well, the first question of our survey was about which percentage did our interviewees think it is at UNAC studying right now, the percentage of men and women. Well, 36% of our interviewees told us that they think the percentage of men and women was from 30% women and 70% men. 21% of the interviewees show us that they think that 10% is women and the other 90% is men. But most of the part, the other 43%, thought that the percentage was about 20% women and 80% men. So the fact here is that, well, there is a little disagree between the percentage of men and women, but most of the people agree with the fact that the number of men almost doubles the women percentage. Well, it is not too hard to think that women are a lot less than men, because it is an engineer career, well, not a career, an engineer degree, but the fact here is that women don't like that stuff. So these results can help us to easily answer the questions about the origin and the reasons why the students fall into UNAQ syndrome. Well, it's a tough conclusion, but it is real. Well, the next question was about did they feel affected by the UNAQ syndrome. Most of our interviewees told us that they not at all feel affected by the syndrome, but a small part of the interviewees told us that yes. But the thing here is that, well, we made a bar chart about the answers, and this bar chart shows that many people, regardless is less women population than men, they hadn't fallen into UNAQ syndrome. Well, we thought that the question before was a decising point of for falling into a syndrome, but it is not at all, because most of the students answered in the question that they don't feel affected at all by the syndrome. But this does not mean that they won't fall in close future or even through their studies at UNAC. Because if you analyze all the information that the survey throws, well, the people that are affected by the syndrome at the beginning of their studies, they were like, no, I didn't even heard about that, and that's something stupid or something like that. But with the pass of the years, with their studies and all this time being at UNAC and that thing, well, they start to feel affected by the syndrome, and that's a point for, well, that is actually a turning point in the falling into the syndrome, because we thought that in the percentage of men and women, will it would be a high decising point, but actually not. The point here is that the time they're spent at UNAC studying and that stuff is the most important thing for falling into the syndrome, and actually it is real.
And now I'm going to talk about how do UNAC students feel about getting or not in a relationship, and how is this related with the UNAC syndrome. Well, from our interviewees, we only had 7 women. So from that 7, only one said that she feels desperate about getting in a relationship, and from 21 men, only 3 of them say that they feel needy about or anxious about getting in a relationship with a girl. And well, all of this information we're going to present it on a bar chart, because it's easy to identify from the people who say yes and the people who say no. And we also can include a difference between the men and the women with a counter on our y-axis for people, and on our x-axis we have from men, women, and if they say yes or no. Because of the difference between the number of girls and boys that we have interviewed, we can notice a big difference between the size of the bars in the chart, and from the results we can confirm that the UNAC syndrome is not related with the fact of having a boy or a girlfriend, but also we can say that it's not necessary to be a formal thing the way that you connect with the other people.
Well, this bar chart shows the results of the fourth question, which is, has your perspective regarding boys and girls changed since began to study at UNAQ? The x-axis or horizontal axis indicates the affirmative and negative responses of men and women, and the y-axis or vertical axis shows the amount of students. We can easily notice how the perspective regarding boys and girls has not changed much in the majority of UNAQ students. Also, we can notice that the participation of men is so superior than the amount of women interviewed. This bar chart shows that the perspective regarding boys and girls has changed more in men than women. The results of boys are so different in a comparison with the results of girls. We can see that the difference between the affirmative and negative answers of women is very big. Well, 12 of 21 men responded that their perspective has not changed. It means almost half of men survived think that her perspective has changed. On the contrary, women have more generalized point of view because just one girl responded that her perspective regarding boys and girls has changed. Well, the reason of the results could be that the men have been more affected by the UNAQ syndrome.
So the question number 5 of our survey was that regardless of the degree the students were coursing, if they thought that the university do plays a big role in the UNAQ syndrome. So 46% of the interviewees answered positively to this question. On the other hand, 54% of the subjects who were interviewed answered negatively to this question. From those, 29% of the male subjects responded positively, and unlikely 14% of the female subjects who were interviewed answered negatively to that question. And 11% of the female subjects who responded negatively to that question were female, and unlikely 46% of the subjects who were interviewed in this survey said that the university does not play a big role in the UNAQ syndrome.